Okay, so this is the same question, question number 5, same part, part A, okay, but it's part 2 of B. It's 5B part 2, okay? Part A we completed in the earlier video. Now, this question now we have to find the estimate of the mean mass. Okay, find an estimate of the mean mass. So, and ready? Here we are. Now, a couple of things you need to realize here. First of all, it says, it uses the word estimate. Okay? Okay. Now the mean, in statistics, the mean is what's commonly understood as the average. The average of a set of data is the sum of all of those data entries and the values up together and divide that by the number of entries there were. Now we know that there's 200 letters in this survey, so I know whatever I have, I'm going to divide it by 200. But the problem is, I do not know what the exact mass of any one of those letters are. I know there are 50 letters somewhere between above 0 but less than or equal to 10 grams. Another 80 letters are somewhere between 10 and 20 grams. But I don't know exactly what their masses are, so I do not have anything to add together to give me the sum of their masses. So I can't divide anything by 200 to give me their mean. So I cannot find the mean of these letters. Okay, but that's not an easy way out. You cannot find the mean because they told you to find an estimate of the mean. Now, in order to find an estimate of the mean, what we must do is the following. Okay, we must take the interval that they gave us, for example, between 0 and 10, and we say, okay, we don't know exactly what the mass of any one of those letters were, but we do know that the mass lies between 0 and 10 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the mid-interval value, which is halfway between these two numbers. So halfway between 0 and 10, you can say 0 plus 10 divided by 2. It's pretty simple, you don't really have to calculate it. But if you didn't know, you take the intervals, 10 plus 20, the beginning and end of the interval, and divide by 2. That's going to be 15. 20 plus 25 divided by 2 will be 22.5. 25 plus 30 divided by 2 will be 27.5. And 30 plus 50 is 80 divided by 2, which will be 40. So you don't really have to do that calculation unless the numbers are more difficult. You can kind of see quite easily what is the midpoint of those two. Okay? So you have to find what's in between those two values. So what we're going to say is now, we're going to make an estimate. We're going to say that 50 of those letters, we don't know what their masses are, but we're going to just estimate that their mass is 5 grams. So we've got 50 letters whose mass we've assumed is 5 grams. The total mass of those 50 letters will be 50 times 5. Okay, that deals with those letters there. We've got to add to that the mass of the next 80 letters, whose mass is estimated to be 15 grams. So we have 80 letters. Each of their masses is 15 grams. So 80 times 15 will give us an estimate of the mass of those 80 letters in total. Then we've got the next 33 letters, whose mass we have estimated to be 22.5. And similarly, you have 17 letters, whose mass we have estimated to be 27.5. Plus, finally, we've got these 20 letters at the end, whose mass we have estimated to be 40 grams. And all of that, or the straight line, all of that has to be divided by the total number of letters, which is 200. They told us there was 200 in the question. Okay, 200 letters. But if they hadn't told us, how would we find that? We would add together all these frequencies, okay, as we did initially to check to see that we had the right, we've got the right numbers for our frequencies. Okay, so when we carry out this calculation, which you should be very careful to do properly, then you should get the 4 marks if you've done everything properly. Okay, so let me just take this away a bit. Now, it's very important to write this step down, just done, especially writing down the mid-interval values, okay, because some of the method marks for this question are for showing that. If you didn't show any steps, you're liable to lose marks, especially if you get the wrong answer. You know, if you've written this down exactly as it is, and you make a mistake in your calculation, somewhere in your calculator, if you made a mistake somewhere, then you'll probably get 3 marks out of 4 if you've written this step down exactly as I have here. However, if you just wrote the answer down incorrectly, even though you did the right thing, but for example, you put 35 instead of 33 in your calculator, and your answer's wrong, you're liable to lose all the marks for this question. So it's like throwing away marks. So let's do this calculation. You've got 50 times 5 plus 80 times 15 plus 33 times 22.5 plus 17 times 27.5. Very careful when you do this. Plus, and you've got 20 times 40 divided by 200, and that should give you your answer, which is 17.3. 17.3. Okay. Now, of course, in the exam you don't have a mark scheme to check if you've done it right or wrong. But one piece of advice: always check to see, is my answer sensible? Okay. Of course, the mass has to be, if you're looking at the mean mass, it has to be somewhere between 0 and 50 grams, somewhere between those, somewhere between these values. Okay. All right. And if you get an answer, for example, my answer is, say, 257 grams. Of course, there's no way that the mean mass can be 257 grams if the range of the masses is between 0 and 50 grams. Okay? So you have to be sensible about your answer. If there's something wrong, check what you've done wrong. Okay, if the answer doesn't seem sensible. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the mark scheme just to make sure that I've got the right answer, because it's very easy to make a mistake in these questions. Okay, it's 2017. Was it? Oh, it's winter 4-3. Question number 3. Is it 3? Is it 5? Oops, it's the wrong paper, sorry. Which paper was it? Let me check again, sorry. Oh, sorry, it was summer 17. My bad. Summer 17. Mark scheme. $17.3. 17.3, what did we get? 17.3, good. Okay, so our answer came out as 17.3 exactly as it. So there's no issue with rounding, we should write it as it is. Okay, so that concludes question A, part 2.